जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम, 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 जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम, जय जय राम। 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 श्री राम जय राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम 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 श्री राम
ओम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम
ओम श्री राम जय जय राम 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 ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम 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 ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Om Shri Ram Jai
Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. We are chanting the name of, we are chanting Ram Nam to make us remember of His grace, to make us remember of His grace. We are chanting Ram Nam to remember Him, to remember Him, to remember Him. We are chanting Ram Nam for knowing that He is within. We are chanting Ram Nam for knowing that He is within. We are chanting Ram Nam to know that He is making us to chant. So we may not be able to remember many, but we will remember as many as possible and then chant. Before that, we would like to read one Papa's article that background can be there in our mind. A life molded by Ram. It was in the year 1921 in Bangalore that the all-merciful Lord of the universe first fired Ramdas's bosom with a keen longing to realize him. Though it started in 1920, I think it got triggered. From that time, his life was undergoing a marvelous change. His one overwhelming passion and aim of life was to live for God and God alone. God's powerful name was indelibly stamped on his tongue. Now it was that he was becoming conscious of a divine influence, working silently but irresistibly in him, gradually dominating and possessing him. This was the background while chanting Ram Nam. His one overwhelming passion and aim of life was to live for God and God alone. God's powerful name was indelibly stamped on his tongue. Now it was that he was becoming conscious of a divine influence working silently but irresistibly in him, gradually dominating and possessing him. He felt an awakening within, the very core of his being. He felt an awakening within the very core of his being. With steady steps and unflagging zeal, He now entered upon a path of rigorous self-discipline. The trials and hardships of the path did not daunt him. Repeated appeals, persuasions, and remonstrances could not make him swerve an inch from his path. He was calm, earnest, determined. As time passed in prayer, fasting, and repetition of God's name, prayer, fasting, and repetition, the consciousness of the divine possession and guidance assumed such a predominance that at last the divine voice within him drove him forth from Mangalore into the wide world. What was his condition at this momentous hour? He was dazed and helpless creature caught in the grip of an all-powerful being. He did not know what he was doing. He was under the full control of an almighty power without any offer of resistance on his part, just as a baby in the hands of his mother. Verily, it was God alone who held him. A God who is at once his divine mother and master, so real, loving, kind, good. How tenderly he nursed and guided his newborn offspring during his first year's itinerant life all over India forms the theme of In Quest of God. He was under the full control of the almighty power without any offer of resistance on his part, just as a baby in the hands of his mother. Verily, it was God alone who held him. A God who is at once his divine mother and master, so real, loving, kind, and good. How tenderly he nursed and guided his newborn offspring during these first years' itinerant life all over India forms the theme of In Quest of God. During that period, his mind was merged in a unique stillness of peace. His life was one of unreserved self-surrender. And as regards the world, in a sense, it was not there for him. That is, he was dead, as it were, to the world. He was traveling from place to place like an automaton, as if in a dream, indifferent to, unconscious of his body and environment. All through it, God, to whom he had surrendered up to his life, was mysteriously influencing his movements and controlling and taking care of him in every way. It was really an entire dedication on one side and a watchful, benevolent protection on the other. He experienced that he was living and moving in a new world in which he felt that there was none other than himself and his great master Ram. In this wonderful vision of inexpressible ecstasy and peace, he struggled to dwell always. This exalted consciousness, possessing as it did the characteristic of perfect vacancy or emptiness, was filled with an ineffable rapture of peace, silence, and repose. The dual throng, pleasure and pain, good and evil, cold and heat, relating to the physical body, affected him not. For his mind was not there to take note of these sensations. It would always be in tune with the infinite spirit of stillness and peace. It would always be in tune with the infinite spirit of stillness and peace. There were occasions when, under certain conditions, he would be dragged down with a jerk, as it were. He would be to the sense of the old world and association, but he would be instantly pulled up, that silent and watchful spirit within. There were occasions when, under certain conditions, he would be dragged down with a jerk, as it were, to the sense of the old world and its association, but he would be instantly pulled up by that silent and watchful spirit within. In those days, Ramdas's haunts were caves, jungles, ruins, riversides, graveyards, hills, cremation grounds. It appeared that these places exerted on him a strange fascination. Instinctively, he avoided the dim and bustle of the city life and was unconsciously led away from it to dreadful solitudes. The sense of fear had vanished from him entirely. Danger and death had lost their terrors for him. A feeling of perfect assurance, security, and protection was ever with him. A feeling of perfect assurance, security, and protection was ever with him. The powerful Rama Mantram never left his lips. He was uttering like a machine. It has been revealed in Quest of God how miraculously he was more than once saved from terrible situations to mold, transform, and manipulate him as he willed. While we read, we use he, but the second he is capital E. It has been revealed in Quest of God how miraculously he was more than once saved from terrible situations to mold, transform, and manipulate him as Ram willed, a wax lump in Ram's dexterous hands. He was indifferent alike to his body and to the external world, and was found absorbed solely in Ramasmaran, or God remembrance. He was also discovered to be like a child, passive, docile, obedient. He was bathed, clothed, and fed, and led in all things. In fact, he had neither attraction nor repulsion for the world. His attitude toward it was simply inexpressible, for he felt, in fact, nothing to interest him in the world, and curiosity he had none. It was simply a wonderful state. Even intellect and emotion seemed to have ceased to function. The next line is very touching. Truly, God, by his power, has eradicated from his heart the false, self-asserting ego and was working himself in its place. Yesterday evening, there was a call from Delhi or somewhere. That friend wanted to know what is surrender. Surrender cannot be explained. But here, it portrays what is surrender. God, by his power, had eradicated from his heart the false, self-asserting ego and was working himself in its place. During this period, Ramdas scarcely talked. He was perfectly fearless. Love and hate, like and dislike conveyed no meaning to him. In fact, he could be likened to a dry leaf, tossed at random as the wind of divine will listed. It was thus that he was guided back by God to Mangalore after a year's absence. Now, this particular article, especially we are now concentrating on Ramnam chanting with the right background, it throws more and more light on it. We are praying to him to remove the self-asserting ego from us. We are praying to him that our life should be like that of a child in the hands of his mother. So that God would, like a divine mother and master, tenderly will nurse him, guide him. And even if there were some lapses, God would immediately pull us up. There were occasions when, under certain conditions, he would be dragged down with a jerk, as it were, to the sense of the old world and its association. But he would be instantly pulled up by that silent and watchful spirit within. So while chanting, we can add so many now. Even if we are unable to add anything on the Ram Nam, all these things can go through. This is called meditation and chanting. No? Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. I am chanting so that you would take over. You would remove the self-asserting ego. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. We are chanting, but whenever, due to old habit, there is a slip, you must immediately pull us up. Previously, when we were reading articles of Papa at that time, we noted some points and we were thrilled or inspired, no doubt, but we were not linking it to our sadhana. So now, when we hear any article of Papa, any words of Papa or Mahatmas, we will know, oh, this should be the background of my chanting. Every day he is giving us this. And he clearly gives us what is the meaning of surrender. Which is very difficult. But when he has put it in his own words, how step by step he handed himself over. As time passed in prayer, fasting and repetition of God's name, the consciousness of divine possession and guidance assumed such a predominance that at last the divine voice within him drove him forth from Mangalore into the wide world. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Please elevate me to that state where only the sense of individuality and you are there. You in the form of creation outside, you in the form of consciousness inside. Puja Swamiji has written that he was also feeling the presence of the Almighty in the form of consciousness. But that consciousness was within and without. He says all are floating in their consciousness. He says when anybody comes to him, he will see consciousness is there in every part of his body. Consciousness, capital. Awareness, the chitta aspect. And possessing as he did the characteristic perfect vacancy or emptiness, was filled with an ineffable rapture of peace, silence, and repose. This exalted consciousness. Normally it will be a great void or no, but here it is peace, rapture of peace, silence, repose. The dual throng affected him not, for his mind was not there to take note of these sensations. It would always be in tune with the infinite spirit of stillness and peace. So while chanting Ramnam, all these clarifications, stillness and peace. You are there within me in the form of stillness and peace also. You are there in the form of dynamism also. You are there in the form of thoughts and actions also. But you are also in the form of ineffable rapture of peace, silence and repose. Spirit of stillness and peace. A feeling of perfect assurance, security and protection was ever with him. Curiosity was not there, anxiety was not there, because the entity that normally has all these is not there. The entity called me and mine. God by his power had eradicated from his heart the false and self-asserting ego and was working himself in its place. He was bathed, clothed, fed and led. It was simply a wonderful state. Even intellect and emotion seemed to have ceased to function. We will have again 5 or 10 minutes Ramnam and repeat the points so that we every day we will now try to put it into practice. Whatever he gives as points to hold on. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. We are chanting the name of chanting Ram Nam to remind us, to request him that by his presence he should eradicate from my heart the false and self-asserting ego, and he should work in its place. We are chanting Ram Nam to remind us to pray to him to eradicate from my heart the false self-asserting ego and he should work in its place. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 We are praying, we are chanting Ram Nam with a prayer to him to make us aware that he is within, he is making us to chant, and therefore we don't have to assume the role of a doer or enjoyer. He must eradicate from our heart this false sense of individuality, which is the root of all our problems. We are chanting the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam with a prayer to him to relieve us from all sorts of problems created by the sense of individuality. Because he is behind, you are behind it. You are behind everything. But still, you have not made us realize your presence. And because of that, the sense of individuality assumes a major role. Why major role? Only that the sense of individuality is there. And because of this, so many problems, so many problems. So now we pray to you, kindly eradicate that self-asserting ego and place yourself in its stage. And so that I will not feel the presence of the ego there. I will only feel the presence of you. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 We are chanting the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam to make us aware that he is there, mysteriously influencing all my movements and controlling and taking care of us in every way. But we don't remember, we don't realize, we don't recognize. All because of the dominance of the sense of individuality. Therefore, please eradicate this false sense of asserting individuality and make us realize that you are there, you are there, you are there. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram 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 Jai Jai Ram. We are chanting the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam with a prayer to him to make us chant this always in mentally. Even when we are walking, we are doing in between whatever activities we are made to involve. Please bless us so that the thread is kept unbroken. So even if we are involved in any activities, gradually that will also come into force. But for the time being, we pray to you that during our entire non-standing time, please make us to chant mentally so that our connection is kept alive. Otherwise, we have known that this false sense of individuality will come and occupy and create chaos for us. Make us unaware of your presence. Make us unaware of your presence within us. So we kindly bless us to make us to chant the holy and powerful Ram Nam mentally, even when we are involved, we are not sitting anywhere and doing Ram Nam in a methodical way or probably in a traditional way, or because we are in our mind, we will do Ram Nam for so many malas there. That particular time, okay. Otherwise, the thread is broken. And that is why we are finding it difficult to control this self, this self-asserting self. During Ram Nam, he will not come. But the moment we stop Ram Nam, he again assumes the role. So if we keep Ram Nam chanting as much time as possible, probably his dominance will be reduced to a very, very great extent. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 We are chanting the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam to make us aware that the core of my being, you are there in the form of stillness and peace, which I was not aware. I was looking for so many things outside. Whenever somebody asks, we'll say there is no peace of mind. That means I am not aware that the peace is within me. So we are chanting the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam with a prayer to him to make us aware of the spirit of stillness and peace within us. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 We are chanting the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam with a prayer to him that by your power you should eradicate from my heart the false and self-asserting ego, and you make me feel that you have started working from that seat. We are chanting the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam with a prayer to him that that I should know that by your power, you had eradicated from my heart the false self-asserting ego and was working yourself in its place. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Before we proceed with our usual text, anybody would like to say anything? Whether all of you are comfortable with this approach, with this practice, with this methodology?
Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji, we are comfortable.
No.
Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji. Swamiji.
Yes.
Tomorrow. This is a most, Swamiji, most practical method.
Most practical method.
It is more practical, Swamiji.
Okay. Yeah.
Very useful. Swamiji, we are able to sense the presence because of this method.
Yeah, so we will do one thing, even while we are carrying on with the text. Every now and then we will stop, and what is contained therein again we will repeat, and again pray to him with Ram Nam, so that it becomes a habit, it becomes a part of our life to hold on to the name and then bring it this dimension. Not the dimension first and then the name, no. This 1 hour every day, we will try to integrate whatever text he makes us to read with Ram Nam. Otherwise, it might slip into an intellectual exercise and not a practical methodology. So the other day we came up to Nama chanting and silence, and then the next is need for Satsang. Normally, when the morale is sagging, or our effort becomes lukewarm, because of our preoccupation with so many activities in the world, we need regular satsang. Whenever we feel we are not progressing, we have been asked to resort to satsang, solitude, and chanting of His name. Now, here again, we have been asked to. When we feel we are not progressing, how do we know that we are not progressing? If the chanting gets stopped, simple way. If the chanting is not there for a long time in a day, we should immediately remind ourselves that is satsang. Because through nama we are trying to connect who is within us, who is making us to chant. So the moment the sense of individuality feels that it has not been in touch with him, immediately wherever we are, we try to mentally chant and establish the connection, the satsang. That's why he said satsang, solitude, chanting of his name. Solitude, it may not be possible for everybody to retire to solitude every now and then. So here we can interpret the solitude to something by which we are withdrawing to the outgoing tendencies to go within, inward journey. We will interpret solitude as inward journey. Even for a few seconds, mentally we can chant. This tune, any tune which is comfortable for all of us, but let it not be a long one. And here we are concentrating on the sound and probably not much on the tune. We try to remember the theme and then chant. So theme and chanting, interwoven. Yes, now Papa is making us very, very clear when he said meditated and chanted, first chapter. Initially we were all thinking, how is it possible to sit quiet, vertebral column erect, close your eyes, concentrate upon the, what is called? The central point between the eyebrows, and then concentrate. Like all those things come in our mind. How is it possible? But now it is clear by meditation, dwelling on all these things. Dwelling on anything that is godly is meditation. So we can join this meditation and chanting. Satsang is not necessarily with an illumined person. Satsang can be had by going through the teachings of Mahatmas. Finally, we should know that satsang is to commune with the Sat within. Papa makes it very clear. Satsang is, we should know, satsang is to commune with the Sat within.
Then the Chit and Ananda comes.
Then the Chit and Ananda will come. Satsang, after the Chit and Ananda will come.
So let us try this. Whenever we feel, especially all of us, whether we are in ashram or whether we are in our field of profession or family or in social circles, whenever we are involved, there is every likelihood that the self-asserting ego will have its predominance. So we as aspirants, we should try this method. Somehow we should make some opportunity for us to go within even if it is for the short time. Now, what did Papa say? Even if the period be ever so small. Ah. Even if the period be ever so small, we need not bother about it. First chapter he says, even if the period ever so small. It's a beautiful word. During the day, so whenever free from worldly duties, be the period ever so small, he would meditate on Ram and utter his name. Clear? First chapter. Be the period ever so small, he would meditate on Ram and utter his name. So during our every day, we are preoccupied with so many things, People who are in ashram or people who are elsewhere. Each will have their own. Activities are going on. Activities where we don't connect God, to be blunt. We are doing it as an activity. We have to arrange this, we have to arrange that, we have to arrange this, we have to arrange like that, like, even in ashram. So the main purpose is to connect ourselves with Him. So now we will try that whenever we feel we get disconnected with Him, even if it is 2 minutes or 1 minute or half a minute or 10 minutes, we will try to close our eyes and mentally chant Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Kindly enable me to feel your presence, Again we will start doing it, whatever we are. Satsang makes us aware of the potency of the name. It helps us to become aware of the heights to which the Nama will take us. It's not a statement. It comes out of it is an outcome of the process of chanting. Papa says, Satsang makes us aware. What is Satsang? We should know Satsang is to commune with the Sat within. Satsang makes us aware of the potency of the name. In homeopathy, many of you might know that we have called it as 30, 200, 1M, 10M, 10M. This is the potency, the power. The power in the medicine is limited to 30, some measure. Then
but,
from
in water also it is being mixed and given in spoons.
200, then so like that, we will be able to, now we are chanting, we may be getting some peace that may be of the lowest potency. So we now try to understand the higher potency, where we feel peace, calmness within. That is the outcome. Whenever we have got the equanimity, we know the potency has increased. When we are able to handle everything efficiently, we know the potency has increased. We know there is no curiosity in us, there is no wanting in us, there is no complaints, there is no grumblings, then we know the potency of the name has increased. So he says, Satsang makes us aware of the potency of the name. It helps us to become aware of the heights to which the Nama will take us. And then the next point is periodical solitude is a must. Periodical solitude does help an aspirant to dwell on the indwelling reality, because then one is free from any type of interruption and disturbance. This we have to devise some method, especially people who are in cities, metros, very difficult we can understand. But still, once in a month at least, or once in 2 months, suppose we make it a point to, with the like-minded friends, not exceeding 10, we go to a place and we spend more time in Ramnam with the right attitude. Because there we will not be disturbed by our routine challenges, routine duties, routine commitments, routine activities. So it is better. We must try. When we try, He will make it possible. If nothing is impossible, so we should crave for it. No, we should feel the inner urge for it. Because during the daytime, my concentration on you is not there because you make me unaware of your presence and make me to involve in so many things. So you will kindly now facilitate at least once in a month, a period, at least half a day, where the like-minded people join together and we devise some method by which we try to chant Ramnam uninterruptedly with the theme, so that the theme gets more and more ingrained in us. And if once the theme gets ingrained, then there is no problem for the Ramnam to chant. Now the problem is Ramnam chanting is going on, the mind still goes out. That means it is not getting stabilized in the theme. Oh. They may not see us, You were able to follow? At what time it got disconnected, we don't know. Eh?
Like-minded people, solid.
You were able to hear?
Yes. Now only.
Where did we got disconnected?
2-3 minutes.
That's all. Anyway, when we are in the midst of routine life and the family, professional, social life.
Meditation,
Eh?
we got, after that you become blank.
Meditation, huh?
Pardon? Please repeat.
Periodical meditation.
Periodical meditation. After that it got disconnected.
Solitude. So solitude, elderly people, it may be difficult. So we will devise some practical method at home itself or in a nearby place where we should be free from routine life. The common run of life, routine. We should be free. Otherwise, there will be so many distractions, disturbances. So how to do that, please find out in your own way. Because our me and mine is too strong there when we are in our place. It is still strong. We are trying to reduce its dominance. But when we are alone, we can try seriously to become aware that it is He and He alone who is behind all our thoughts, words and deeds, including ours. So this periodical solitude, which is a must, but how to do that? Each one will devise their own method. Don't go along with the tradition of going away, or that may not be possible who are living in a metro city where you are aged. You may find it difficult to move about freely, but you can certainly find some device at home, a separate room, something like that. And you can inform the members, please, for 2 hours, leave me alone. Whatever may be the reason, kindly don't disturb me. Something like that. When there is a strong inner urge, he will provide. He will somehow facilitate us to have that. And then from there we move to give thrust to originality in prayer. This is also a toughest problem all of us are facing. We find joy in repeating the prayer, but we know now the prayer does not leave any deep, indelible impression in our heart. The naked truth is, it is not drafted by ours. We are only, reproducing, repeating or reading somebody's prayer. That somebody has brought out the prayer from the bottom of their heart. That is why we find it is still inspiring. We used to hear songs, many songs which we keep on hearing, like Purandaradasas or Tyagavarajas or Mirabai, so many such Bhaktotamas. But still, what happened to us? We will say that the music is wonderful, the theme is wonderful, but still not going inside, This is the naked truth. So along with hearing, because repeating the prayer of a highly evolved one will be definitely inspiring. But that inspiration should kindle us to make out our own prayer. It need not necessarily be in the printed form. It can be spontaneous. But we devise our own way of approach to him. It is a difficult task because we have not applied so far. Shlokas, everything we used to repeat. But now we are facing the blunt truth, what happened to us. Some impact is there, but not deep impact. Prabhu Vishwanatha, how many times we have heard? So now Prabhu Vishwanatha should enable us to bring out our own prayer. As an organization, we need to have so many such things. So we will continue. But at the same time, we should know it has come from his bottom of his heart. The person who translated Papa's poem into Marathi, and set to a beautiful tune, no doubt, at that particular moment there is concentration, there is an inexplicable joy. Many who do not know, many of us who do not know Marathi, we may not be able to go along with it word by word. Now and then we will realize, yes, it is, because we have understood that it is the true translation of Papa's universal prayer. But at the same time, now an effort should be made to bring out our own prayer in our own words. Many people come to the ashram, even recently also. They will write prayer, their own. So we used to tell them there are so many printed prayers are there. For you it is all right, but if you wanted to get printed, not that we will try to help you, but it might help somebody to some extent. But really, please think, this prayer is only for you. This prayer you feel will inspire others. No. That is not our intention. It might inspire others to draft their own prayer. So we are now thinking that when we read the prayer should touch and kindle the potentiality in us to bring out our own prayer. Unless we get a sample, how will we start doing it? So we should know what is, so varieties of prayers, We have printed a small, something like a leaflet or a book, where there are about 10 or 15 prayers composed by different Mahatmas. For example, Thy will be done. So based upon that, we will draft our own, Thy will be done. Instead of repeating, Thy will be done. So this is the blunt truth, which nobody will normally share. But we are asking ourselves whether it has, the moment we read that, whether the theme gets stabilized in us, in spite of the fact that repeated assertion, repeated offering of the prayer is going on. So give thrust to originality in prayer. Rest will take it up tomorrow. Again, 5 times we will have Ramnam and pray to him. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.